It is Queen TV, and I am here to give you your Masculine Mondays. I'm a little calm. Y'all getting like the Queen TV After Dark edition. I have some running around to do for my daughter today. Because today is her birthday. So happy Valentine's Day to all the lovers. And happy Valentine's Day to everybody, right? Whether you celebrate Valentine's Day or not, it's always every day is a great day to show love, right? And those of us that have come into the understanding of our spiritual awakening, a lot of times we don't celebrate holidays the way we used to. But I feel that holidays, they just break up the monotony, right? So I don't see anything wrong with celebrating holidays with a level of understanding, right? And it's crazy because I would say maybe two of the most famous holidays, I think it's like 4 major holidays, right? Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, and Valentine's Day. So I have children born on Valentine's Day and on Halloween. So I am always in a celebratory mood on those days. So today is my daughter's birthday. She turned 20 years old today. So I had to do some running around for her. So I am just now doing this video kind of late. And then I am going to edit my travel vlog, and I'm very excited about that. It's the first time that I did a travel vlog with so much footage. So yeah, wish me luck, y'all. So it's me and Luna. So I came today to talk to you guys about why it's essential, and this goes for men and women, but I'm going to preface it towards the men because on Feminine Fridays I said I taught on why divine feminines would not date a man with a big ego, right? So now I'm going to kind of like break down for you guys a little bit of what the ego looks like and why it's very important for men to go through what is called an ego death, right? I'm going to give it from my perspective. Many different people have different perspectives on exactly what an ego death is and what it looks like, right? And me, I like to demystify things. Like, I don't like to use big fancy words and sound all deep and all of that kind of stuff. I really, a part of my job and my assignment and my contract here is to teach, right? And the best way to teach is to make things understandable for the listener, right? For it to be nurturing to the listener or the hearer of those words. And I don't believe in teaching with razor blades in your teaching style, right? So if I'm coming for you, I'm coming for you. You know I'm coming for you. Other than that, I am teaching. And I am here to teach and enlighten those that are going through a spiritual awakening, those who are at the beginning of their spiritual awakening, and they're just trying to understand, like, what the heck is going on, right? Okay, so an ego death. In my expert opinion, the ego death is essentially whenever you transcend from one state of consciousness or one mindset, right? When we go through a spiritual awakening, we essentially do what is called, we break out of the 3D matrix, right? And what the 3D matrix looks like is basically you go from living your life according to society, right? Whatever that looks like for you. You go from living your life based on societal norms, what society says that certain genders should do, be, appear as, and behave, right? Or a way that they should behave, right? So with your ego death, you are essentially going from a state of how you defined yourself through societal norms to a more spiritual way of seeing yourself, right? You essentially go from realizing that you go into realizing that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, right? Now, everybody may not agree with that, but that essentially is the beginning of your spiritual awakening. When you realize, like, hey, I chose to be here, and essentially I am a little g God, and I am in a dense flesh, And I have to come into a certain level of knowing and understanding about who it is that I am, what my soul contract says, why it is that I am here. And if I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, I am here essentially to help the earth with ascending by raising the vibration of the earth, right? I am essentially here to live a very high vibrational lifestyle. And what that looks like is being mindful of the things that you are thinking, right? Gaining control of your subconscious mind and not allowing your subconscious mind to basically run your life, because it's crazy that we live and behave according to our subconscious mind, but oftentimes we're not tapped into our subconscious and the thoughts that are actually coming from our subconscious, right? So essentially, whenever you go through a spiritual awakening, you are transitioning or transcending to a mindset that says, hey, I'm actually spiritual. I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to do everything right. I don't have to do things the way that this person does it or that person does it or the way my family said I should do it or the way that society says that I should do things. I don't have to behave according to what society says, but essentially I'm here to be my own unique person, right? My own unique version of me, the me that God created me to be, right? But whenever we incarnate into this 3D existence, we are here to elevate our soul, right? So the things that we go through essentially causes our soul's evolution. So all the trauma you went through, the pain you went through, the losses you went through, you actually agreed to go through those things so that your soul can evolve, right? That's why we call Earth Soul School, right? So you are here to learn and grow and evolve. Once you realize that, hey, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, you no longer feel trapped in the matrix, and you realize that you're here to live out your soul's purpose, and that becomes your most important mission, your more important focus. And even if that means I have to walk away from people, places, things, if I have to eat differently, if I have to exercise, if I have to utilize yoga, if I have to get into understanding how energy works and how energy shifts and how that affects my life, those are the things that I'm going to do, because I am here on a mission to fulfill my soul's purpose or my soul's contract. The things that I agreed to before I got here, but I also agreed to forget those things until I start to come into my awakening. Okay? So a lot of times a soul death is preceded with some type of life-changing situation, some type of life-changing loss, some type of life-changing pain that actually feels like a death because it hurts that much, right? So me, with my experience, I had gone through a series of events, right? And one of the biggest things I had done was disconnect myself from a very narcissistic relationship that I had been in for 7 years, right? And then upon doing that, I started to realize that I started to look around and I realized that I was tied to a lot of different people that were very narcissistic, right? Including family, friends, things of that nature, right? So after coming into that awakening and that understanding, I was like, okay, like I got this. Like I understand things better. My vibration was starting to rise. I started to be very confident in who it is that I was, what it is that I was here to do, what things I would tolerate, what things I would not tolerate. And even in that, I got into a relationship that caused a huge trigger because I experienced a huge, unexplained, unpredictable abandonment, right? And that really, really triggered me into a place, right? And I feel like from that place, God began to really deal with me and some of the things that I hadn't let go, some of the things that were soul wounds, right? And I call them soul wounds because I started to realize that, like, sometimes the things that we feel and we grasp and we hold on to, these labels that we place on ourselves, like, where did they come from, right? Like when we say, I've heard people say things like, I've heard men say things like, I'm a sex addict, or women, or people say things like, I can't be alone, or all of those different things. But then when you go through your spiritual awakening, you start to ask yourself, like, where did those ideas and concepts come from? Like, who told me that? Like, who told me that I was lonely all the time? Who told me that I was hurt all the time, right? And I started to ask myself those questions, right? And that is how I came into the understanding that some of the things that we go through, and some of the things that we feel and we hold on to, some of the things that we are triggered by, are actually soul wounds, meaning there are things that we experienced before in a different lifetime, and we bring those same hurts and emotions into this lifetime. And a part of labeling your feelings and understanding why it is that I feel the way that I feel, you kind of get to the core root of things, right? So God basically walked me through the process of feeling enough, right? Because after that abandonment, it's like a crisis, right? It's like a midlife crisis, quarter life crisis. It's a life crisis, right? And you're trying to understand, like, how to grapple and grasp all of these feelings and these emotions, right? And basically, God was like, I will not allow you to feel as if you're not enough. You are enough, right? And he started to show me who I was and who he created me to be, right? And the most liberating thing was to understand that I was a spiritual being having a human experience. Like, if you can imagine that, like, I'm a big, beautiful angel, but I chose to come and be in this meat suit, be in this dense flesh in order to live out certain things in a human way. But within inside of me, is a very beautifully created spiritual being, right? That is an ego death. That is when you start to understand that, like, yeah, I'm not here to be like everybody else. And guess what? It's okay, right? So when men go through an ego death, they start to realize that I don't have to live my life according to the way that society says I have to live my life. I don't have to be the dad that society says that I am. And a lot of times, the labels that society puts on us causes us to stay in a very low vibrational state. It causes us to believe very negative things about ourselves. It causes us to believe that we have to live our life a certain way that tends to keep us very low vibrational, right? So as men, a lot of times they're more 3D based, and women tend to be more spiritually based. And that's fine, because the two work in tandem, right? So the female is more spiritually connected to God, right? So she, in the relationship, she can be a spiritual advisor because she's very tapped in. So a man who has gone through a ego death understands that, yeah, I need to live my life in a very spiritual way, a more spiritual way. And they tend to gravitate to more spiritual things. They start to gravitate towards people that are more spiritual. They tend to gravitate towards women that are more spiritually inclined on the light side, because there's women that are spiritually inclined, but they do their spiritual operations in the dark in a very low vibrational way, right? They're not utilizing God above, heaven up above. They're utilizing spirits and things of that nature, but they're of a very low vibration, right? So remember when I talked about how when Lucifer was kicked out of heaven, he took a third of the angels with him and they became demons, right? And then you have angels who are still rocking with God, and they tend to do things in a very light nature, right? So the reason why an ego death is so important is because during that ego death, you start to realize that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. With that being the case, I'm no longer defined by society. I'm not defined by things outside of me, but essentially I'm defined by things that are within me. So it requires time with God so that he can begin to show you and kind of deconstruct the you that you created, utilizing your ego to protect you, utilizing your ego to fuel who it is that you are and how it is that you do things, right? You also tend to look very outside of you for 3D gratifications, right? How people feel about me, how they view me, the things that I have built for myself materialistically, right? All of those things are part of the ego. And the ego isn't bad because the ego was built to protect us, right? But then at some point we have to get to a point where we find our our beingness, if that's a word, our beingness, our wholeness, and our enoughness within God, because we realize, like, no, he created me to do X, Y, and Z, and that's exactly what it is that I'm going to do. Even if that means I have to walk away from the job, I have to walk away from the people, I have to walk away from my family, I'm going to do what it is that resonates within my soul, right? I'm not concerned with what you think about it. I'm not concerned about your opinions on things. The only thing that I'm concerned about is, how do I please God? How do I please my Lord? How do I please my creator, my maker, right? We're not getting jealous. We're not comparing ourselves with people. We're not having a battle of the wits, like who's more intelligent, who has more money, who has more cars, who has more material things, because we realize that once we step into our spirituality, like, we are rich. We're rich in spirit, and that goes way further than being rich in the 3D, because those 3D things, when you die, you can't take those with you, right? So why not build on the things that are long lasting, the things that are forever, like love and gratitude? No one can take those things away from you, right? Your ability to manifest out of purity requires you to be of a high vibrational state. So now I'm raising my vibration. So the things that I manifest, they stay. They're here. I'm not worried. I'm not coveting. I'm not worried about who's going to come and take from me or anything like that, because I know that whatever God gives me, it's mine. It's mine. It ain't going nowhere. Can't nobody take it because she gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? So that is the reason why our ego death is so very, very important. Now, I'm prefacing this towards the men because men tend to struggle a little bit more with breaking out of the societal norms. And I'm not saying that women don't, because that's where women become alpha females. When you hear women walking around talking about, I'm an alpha female and I'm this and I'm that and da 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 da, that is a woman's way of kind of conforming to society and who society says that we have to be in order to get ahead and be successful, right? So the reason why, to wrap this up, the reason why it's important for men to go through an ego death as a part of their spiritual ascension is because they need to break out of the 3D matrix and no longer clarify themselves, no longer find their worth in their material things, with things they have acquired for themselves in the 3D, right? Money, cars, clothes, hoes, all of those things, right? We no longer associate those things with being successful and we're no longer, also too, we're no longer searching out popularity based on things, right? Based on what it is that we do. We realize that everything that we do, everything that we are, everything that we should be striving for is something of a spiritual nature. That is a 3D ego death, right? Not saying that your ego is no longer there anymore. You're just not living your life being led by your ego. And your ego says, these are the things that I built for myself. These are the things that I can do. I can create. I have control over, right? And we relinquish that control and we're just like, all right, God, so what did you say that I was supposed to be doing? And we live our life that way, okay? Once that happens, you become a different person. You become a different type of person, okay? So we'll talk about that next Monday. Next Masculine Monday, we'll talk about the qualities and the traits of a divine masculine. And these are qualities and traits that are developed in you once you lay down your ego and you answer the call. You answer the call and you step out of the 3D matrix. I've also taught about the hero's journey, right? Oh my God, I love it. Like, I don't know, I might have to do the hero's journey. I might have to do a remix of the hero's journey on one of my Masculine Mondays, but it's very profound. I want you guys to look it up. I want you guys to study it, what the hero's journey is, and you will realize that, like, oh my God, like that's really like my life. That's really where he had been. Okay, so that's all I got for you guys on this here Masculine Monday. Again, I am Queen TV. Queen TV After Dark. I am Regal Essence. I'm your hood therapist. I'm your ray of sunshine in the afternoon time. And I'm Life is a Laid Back Mom. Travel vlogger. So, look for my video. I'll be uploading that. I'm going to be working on that tonight. I'm so excited. So, look for that. Life is a Laid Back Mom. And I'm probably going to get into, at the intro of the video, I'm probably going to get a little bit into how Life is a Laid Back Mom was created, how she came to be. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys had an amazing day, Valentine's Day or not. I hope you guys had an amazing day. I hope you guys show love. I hope you guys felt loved upon, right? I hope your women spoiled you just as much as they expected you to spoil them. Remember that I love you guys. I will be back on Friday for Feminine Fridays, and I will be back next Monday for Masculine Mondays. I love you guys. Peace.